music.
It says we're live.
We're live?
It says we're live. Yes. Finally. Oh my God. Okay. So here we go. Wait, let's start it again.
Oh, I didn't get the button ready.
Redo. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast, where we are going to talk about all kinds of things. I am well rested because I took a little nap earlier today, and you know we just got an Apple event to talk about, iWatches and Apple pads and all kinds of crazy stuff, as well as the LG Wing, and maybe even we'll talk about that 120 hertz thing that everybody's so fluffed up about.
Careful.
Yeah,
Careful.
I know. Everybody's so mad.
LG, they retweeted my tweet about them.
Oh, did they?
I felt special because they've only tweeted of like a handful of people, like 5 of us. And then I got an email today, and that's all I can say.
Oh, good for you.
Things are happening for Zach.
I need to send an email so I can. I've been meaning to do that for the past couple of days, but I haven't done it yet because I'm so over the. I got so much stuff going on, and South Jersey in the house, down there near the Delaware border.
Hey, who's the guy from last week? I hope he shows up again.
Chris? Oh yeah,
you remember the name?
No, Franklin. I actually had to take a nap after I finished my video too. Franklin says he thought that I was still asleep, and that's why we were late. But no, we were late because technology sucks.
Well, let's be clear. I wanted to get on like 20 minutes ago, make sure everything was, because I had to move everything around. Now, I know this is an audio show, and if you're listening, you obviously can't see anything. But if you're here for the live show, and you should be here on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube, Painfully Honest Tech channel, to be part of the live broadcast, participate in the chat, throw us questions, give Jason money. Okay.
Yes.
But then you can see our beautiful setups. You can see how Viper kidnapped Jonathan Morrison and has this beautiful setup, how Jason consistently changes his setup every single week and then manages to get a crazy amount of stuff from Razer, and then how I change things around. So
the desk is in the same place as it was last week. Just none of the stuff on the desk is the same.
But for the people that are watching, just let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? I put the games on either side. I think this is what I'm not moving anything else anymore. I still have to finish my lighting and everything else, but I think it looks good.
All right, we probably should get going because we're gonna try to fit all this in an hour. I don't know, that's actually kind of difficult today, but let's see what happens.
Hour and a half. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll see. So we had a special event. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Audible. audibletrial.com/painfully honest tech will get you a free month of Audible. That's 1 free audiobook and 2 Audible originals for free. Okay, check it out. They pay us if you subscribe. Thanks. So Apple event was an hour long.
Exactly. It was an hour and 3 minutes. Yeah,
they were so punctual.
Yeah, they were not playing no games.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I wonder how many people closed their computer window or turned off the TV when Tim Cook said, "Today's event's about the Apple Watch and the iPad." Click.
But you know what? It's kind of good that he set that expectation, because for us tech, we knew what was coming. But for the mainstream person that might have been watching, they were expecting iPhone. So I'm glad that he set that expectation right off the bat, so they didn't have to stay there if they didn't want to stay there.
You know, if there was iPhones as well, it would have been like a 2-hour event easily, right?
Oh yeah.
So. Tim Cook is too nice. Okay, Steve Jobs used to just make us wait. We never knew what was going to happen.
Did you guys notice that Tim, like, it seemed like he presented more?
No.
He was like the point guard of the.
I felt like he talked more than what I'm used to. Which is fine. I liked him.
Before we start, though, Tim Cook, I need you to listen to me very closely. These good mornings that you have been giving us during the virtual bit have been trashed, sir. I don't know what's going on, Tim Cook. I need the energy. I need the good morning that we get with these live events because we have not been getting it during the virtual event, Tim Cook. You got to do better, baby. You got to do better.
You know what? When he said good morning, the first thing that popped in my head is Viper's not going to be happy with that good morning right there. I was thinking about it.
Terrible. Come on, man.
He's being directed. He's being directed. Somebody's there, and he says that, and then they're like, "No, that sounds stupid," and so so he doesn't do it. You know, but it's endearing to all of us because it is the most geeky and annoying thing that he does, and you know, he does it right off the top. So after everybody shut off their windows and stopped watching, we got into the Apple Watch, and first thing that we got was Apple Watch Series 6.
Series 6.
Yeah, which basically boils down to sleep tracking, pulse ox.
Well, sleep tracking will come to all of them.
Yeah, I know, but so sleep tracking, pulse ox, and then something else. I don't know.
Blood ox production, right?
Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah. Jason, what Jason's trying to say is a pulse oximeter, but that's not what we have on the Apple Watch. More like a blood oxygen sensor. It's pretty much the same thing, but only one on your wrist and one goes on your finger and things like that. But during the fact that we are in the middle of a global pandemic, which is largely has to do with respiratory and things like that, this blood oxygen sensor is going to come in clutch. It will definitely tell you if you might have symptoms of COVID or other related illnesses because of the fact that it can measure your blood oxygen. So the fact that this is on an Apple Watch on a mainstream electronic device during a global pandemic, for the old people that are anti-maskers out there and things like that, you buy an Apple Watch Series 6, you might get some news that you might not like.
You run into a wild Karen at Walmart. You're like, hold on, Karen. Put on my Apple Watch. I'll show you that everything's fine. Go around every Walmart, saving the world.
I mean, I'm just saying the Apple Watch might let you know that it might be more serious than what you think it is. Oh,
I mean, those are the key. Those are really the key things. It's a little bit brighter. They didn't say anything about battery size. It's a little bit brighter. It's the same form factor, which means like any sort of accessories, straps, etc., will fit the same. There's some gorgeous colors. That blue, and they got rid of the ceramic. No more ceramic.
Yeah, man, I hate when they do that. I like the ceramic ones.
So
for those of you,
including steel either.
What's that?
No, they have
stainless steel.
Yeah,
the aluminum stainless steel. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a bunch of new colors, and yeah, it's tempting, but there's not a big jump from the Series 5 to the Series 6.
Yeah. I mean, let's not. Okay, it's a really good device, and these couple of features that they're bringing to the device are going to be really valuable in their own right. But there's nothing in the Apple Watch Series 6 that makes me say I have to even upgrade my Series 4.
I was just about to say, since I just made a video about it, it's all fresh in my brain. So at the end of my video, I even stated, if you have a Series 4, do you really need to update to a Series 6? And the answer is no. I mean, unless you absolutely need that blood oxygen sensor, you really have no reason, no desire to update to a Series 6. So if you have a Series 4 or 5, you're good where you are. And now, if you have a model that's older than the 4, then you might want to consider upgrading. But anything,
or you can buy yourself a $200 Series 3. That's like the best deal in the house right there.
Yeah,
and even then,
$200.
The blood oxygen detector is going to be. First of all, let's acknowledge that that's pretty freaking amazing.
It is.
That's in a watch that's available, but it'll probably be very very much like the EKG, the sensor that's on the Series 5 right now, where you go to do that measurement, and it's going to tell you in big bold letters, it does not detect for this,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, but as some people have pointed out in the comments of my video that I put up a while ago, if you haven't watched it, go watch it after we're done.
I just go to the comments now, man.
Some of the people in the comments were like, "Hey, Samsung watches could do that like 7 years ago."
What,
Samsung
blood
phones.
oxygen?
Yeah, Samsung phones they had that little sensor on the back. And I never looked into all the things. I knew it could do pulse rate. I knew it could do ECG or EKG, something like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, people in my comments are telling me that Samsung's devices were able to do that like long ago, and but now they've taken it away. Now they took it off. They took it off the Note 20 and the S20 and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying what the people in my comments are saying. I haven't done the research to find out if they're correct or not.
No, and hell no. Ain't no Samsung watch had a blood oxygen.
No, not the watch. Not the watch.
What are you
the phones.
Not even the
I
phones.
misspoke.
Not even the phones. They could tell your blood pressure, some of them, yes, but not your blood oxygen level. No, we've never seen anything like this on a mainstream electronic device before. I don't care what these Samsung like to tell you. They need to calm down.
Franklin has the goods and says that he can check blood oxygen on his Galaxy S8.
I don't know about that. I know they had a feature where you could check your blood pressure or something like that, but not your blood oxygen sensor.
Well, they had a multifunction sensor on the back beside the camera.
Right, I remember that. You're right.
That I never really paid any attention to.
The Note 4 had it.
The Note 4 had it all the way back. Yeah. So I think when they moved away from the centered camera array and went to this giant, like, cancerous goiter that they got, I think that's when they started taking it off. But I'm not saying it's not a great thing, and I'm not saying that Apple's implementation might not be in some ways better or whatever. I just, I don't want to get carried away and give Apple too much credit here. Somebody else in my comments said you can go down to the drugstore and get a pulse oximeter to put on your finger for like $10.
So Samsung called it blood oxygen saturation.
That's the same thing.
It's so okay. I just want to see.
Okay. Now, see, this is where I got to take over, because me being who I am, I got to set the people straight. I don't care if you can go to your health store and get it done. How many people are going to go to a health store to get this stuff done? Nobody, literally, unless they have an underlying condition that requires them to go get this stuff done. They're not going to get this stuff done. The fact that this is on a mainstream consumer electronic device has to be lauded. Apple is doing things in the health space that are just amazing right now. There is nothing even close to the Apple Watch out there. Like, let's not even try to pretend. Like,
I'll give them credit for the focus on health. I'll give them credit for the focus on health and the features that they continue to add. But the blood ox level is not really that big a deal.
So we have 3 watches. We'll get to the others. We'll get to the SE obviously, but basically 3 watches now that they're pushing. So Series 3, 6, SE. If I'm new to getting an Apple Watch, I'm probably grabbing the SE in terms of offering.
Well, the SE is probably just the 5, right?
From what I understand, it's
a chip in it, right?
Yeah, it's a scaled down 5, so it doesn't have the always on, and there's a couple missing. There's literally like 3 missing features.
Listen, Franklin, let me tell you something, son. The Apple Watch has 30% of the wearable market. I don't know what the hell you think, what world you living in, but it ain't mainstream until it goes on the Apple Watch. Okay, let's not get it twisted out here. I mean, I'm not gonna say that Samsung Watch in the bag because I had them. I've used them and they're awesome. But when it comes to wearables and including that technology on wearables, it starts and ends practically with the Apple Watch, and everybody else can play for a second. So you need to calm down. Don't even come in here and talk with that nonsense tonight. I'm not having none of it.
So how much percent of the wearables?
30% of the wearable market is Apple Watch.
So that's like 60 people, right?
What?
My point is that the wearables market is really more like a flea market. It's not a huge thing. It's getting bigger all the time, and people are adopting the Apple Watch.
It's getting huge. It's getting huge, yeah.
I mean, Apple's making money off of it, but they're the only ones selling any of those things. Like Fitbit's got a thing that looks like an Apple Watch, and Garmin's got a thing that looks like an Apple Watch, and Samsung makes their stuff that nobody cares about. The only reason that there is a wearables market right now is because the Apple Watch exists.
Exactly.
But that's not really a good or a bad thing in the sense that like it's a good device, and I don't know. I mean, a watch is a watch. Like a new watch every year with 2 or 3 different features is not anything to have an event about. Make me listen to 45 minutes of it.
I could have sworn they did watches every 2 years, but last year the Series 5 came out, right?
No, they've done it about every year or every 18 months.
You know, Jason, I understand the hesitation in your voice about the Apple Watch on the whole, but when you say a watch and the watch, that's all good and well. But a watch is not an Apple Watch. An Apple Watch is something else entirely, because an Apple Watch is the only watch that I know of that can actually potentially save your life. So you can't even.
It's not that. No. It's the only one. Viper. Did Apple send you a canister of Kool-Aid today? Did Apple send you a canister of Kool-Aid that you mixed up before the podcast?
Google Apple Watch saves live and then come back and talk to me.
Did I say Google Watch? No. But there are other watches out there that track this kind of stuff. I mean, Apple is doing a good thing.
No,
Jason, I'm not going to crawl up inside their rear ends because they made a watch.
Apple Watch saves lives, Jason. The Apple Watch can literally save people's lives. Don't try to downplay it, Jason. Come on now.
That to me.
I hate when my parents fight.
It borders Apple claiming that they are saving people's lives borders on the whole, like, kind of being kind of shady about it. It's great that their devices have those things in them, and people have been able to use them in order to in order to get healthcare when they need it. But Apple didn't take them to the hospital. Apple didn't like. I think it's a great thing, but I do not want to crawl up inside of Apple's rectum because they made this watch. It is not that big a deal.
I credit the Apple Watch for saving my life, but I mean, we don't have to talk about that.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't. I mean, I've been saying all along that the features that the Apple Watch gives you are very valuable features, and they help people in many different ways. But the Apple Watch 6, Series 6, whatever, compared to the Apple Watch Series 5,
yeah, I mean, we agree on that. It's not nothing. It's not much.
Yeah, I mean, I give them credit for the Apple Watch, but they made me sit through 40 minutes of Apple Watch.
No, that's why you mad. You mad because you sat through an Apple Watch event, but you knew that, Jason. You knew that going in.
Okay, well, let's put the Series 6 aside, and
so,
talk about the.
Jason acts like he doesn't like it, but he'll buy one anyway. Jay, do you know what I do for a living? This is what I don't understand when all these people complain. They're like, oh, Jason, you're just going to buy it anyway. It's like, what do I do for a living? I do tech reviews. What gets the most views of anything in the freaking world in terms of tech reviews? Apple. So, Jay et al. Yes, I'll probably get myself one of these Apple Watches, especially since I lost mine on vacation.
Oh, that's why you won't connect me whenever I send the request. I'm like, Jason's ignoring me.
I already connected you, and then you like did something and closed an award, and I texted you about it, and you're like, "Who's this?"
I did.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, God's Guy 93 does point out that Apple's rectum is now mostly recyclable and made from recycled parts, and will be carbon neutral by 2030.
I question that whole carbon neutral stuff.
I mean, I don't question the carbon neutral stuff. It's like the Apple Watch. It's like, oh, great goal. Golf clap. Great goal. You're doing the right thing. I'm not going to crawl inside your rear end because you're doing good things. I'm just like, it's great. It's great. But let's just jump over to this whole carbon footprint thing, right?
Oh,
Notice how they started out with like, here's what we're doing to be all carbon footprinty, and here's where we're recycling, and 100% of our aluminum is recycled, blah 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 blah. And then they're like, and another way that we're doing it this year is we're taking the charger out of the box on the Apple Watch. And I'm just like, okay, I have to admit that the way that she stated it made it sound like they were putting no charger, no anything in the box.
Yep.
Like you were just going to get the watch and then have to buy the $20 like USB cable. That's how it sounded to me at the time. I recognize that now it's just the little 5-watt charger is not going to be there. Still, they are trying so hard to nickel and dime us to death while
create a
making us think
problem.
we're getting a deal.
Create a problem, offer the solution, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. That's what they do. It's like, oh man, we lost the headphone jack. What do we do? AirPods. No, just use the headphone jack.
The only thing about this is that people are probably going to go to third-party aftermarket chargers before they buy Apples. I mean, that's the only thing about that.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if you have an Apple Watch, now I still think that there are not as many people out there who have Apple Watches that might not need a charger. I think let me say that I think there might be more people that need a charger and have an Apple Watch or buy an Apple Watch for the first time, because I mean, Apple themselves, they started this family share or family surveillance thing.
That I'm really interested in, that feature that they talked about.
It's cool, but also a little creepy.
Well, okay, I'll give you an example. This is with me and my family. My son has been really interested in, like, you know, keeping me accountable and everything like that with being healthy, and Dad, did you drink your water today? And just like stuff like that, right? And then I showed him like the health features and things like that with the Apple Watch, and he's been asking me for probably the last 9 months, how old do I have to be to get an Apple Watch? I'm like, well, you have to have an iPhone in order to have an Apple Watch. And now you don't.
Except the little fine print there is you've got to have a cellular.
Yeah, it's gotta be a cellular version. But
so like your kid is 6, 7?
He's 8 years old. Yeah, he'll be 9 in January. Yeah.
Okay. A 9-year-old getting a almost $500 Apple Watch. See, that's what I'm saying. These were the notes that I was taking as I was watching the event. Viper's like, I'm not even doing this. I'm pieced out. I'm typing on my phone. But
I mean, yeah, I know where you're coming from, Jason. I think that's an individual decision. But like even my wife and I, we've been talking lately, and we're like, you know, what age should we get him a phone? Because he's walking to and from school. It's only a 10-minute walk. With his sister, my daughter, who she'll be 6 next month. But you know, we've kind of come to the decision that we probably won't get him a cell phone until junior high, so a few more years. So he's in grade 4 now. Right. So, but if he can have an Apple Watch that has cellular, and he can be in school or whatever it is, and he can, he can quickly
listen to Apple Music.
Well, I mean, he can send a quick text saying, I got to school, whatever. I mean, it comes down to, it's kind of like, you don't have to television babysit your kids, right? It's up to the parents to kind of mitigate. So you teach your kids, what's responsible, right? So I think it's kind of cool that they have that.
Let me complicate your thinking on young people and having a device. Mm-hmm. Most of the children that are taken are younger than junior high age.
Okay.
And most of the children that are taken and reported missing are taken by someone who knows them.
Okay.
Parents,
got dark,
et cetera. So yeah. I'm just saying that it might be worth having something like this beforehand. It's like the logic makes sense, but it's also kind of backwards. Like, kid's too young to have such a fancy device, but then again, this is when he actually needs it. You know what I mean? I wish they'd make like an Apple Watch, like a Disney Apple Watch.
Well, we originally wanted to get him the new generation, the iPod, but there's no cellular in there, so like he can't connect to the school Wi-Fi. And there might be open Wi-Fi's here and there, but I mean, it just kind of like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But now, I mean,
if there was cellular in the iPod, it'd be an iPhone.
Exactly right. Where like, yeah, so. I thought it was intriguing. I don't know if we're gonna do it, but I just thought, again, it was intriguing. Like, if we get him an iPhone or we get him an Apple Watch, either Series 3 or SE, probably SE.
Yeah.
And then you can tap it and say, hey, I'm at school, or can you come pick me up, or I lost my sister. Let us know.
Yeah. This man has me in a truck.
Yeah.
He's got me in the back of this van.
No,
the van's filled with
don't talk like that.
He's got me in the back of the van. It's filled with shiny rubber. No.
All right.
Okay. Anyway.
So what is the offer? What is the price point offering now for the watches? I think I tweeted a picture.
So Apple Watch Series 6 starts at $399.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch SE starts at $279, and then the Apple Watch Series 3 is still out there for $199.
Right.
Which one's the cheapest? The Series 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Series
Yeah.
3 is a great deal. I mean, let's be clear, because I think we always have to do this with Apple. That price, those three stated prices, are for the smallest, least feature rich devices. So if you're a male or a female and prefer a bigger watch or whatever, then you're already paying $350, I think, or $450 for the larger version of the watch. And then if you want cellular, I mean, then it jacks up pretty considerably by a couple of $100, I think, right?
Usually about $130 usually.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody who's listening to this and isn't savvy to Apple's shell game, this is the shell game that Apple plays. Samsung plays a different shell game, but Apple plays the shell game of saying like, hey, it only costs this much until you buy the one you want, and it costs that much.
And let's be really clear, between the Series 3, the SE, the new Series 6, the 5, 4, whatever it is, all these watches have access to the same fitness and workout apps, the same information. It's just that there's, like we were saying, there's little differences. You may or may not have a compass. You may or may not have EKG. You may or not have the blood oxygen. But you have the brunt of the main features, and the biggest thing being the majority of the health tracking and reminders, sit, stand, move, closing your rings, things like that. Which I think is incredible. I think it's really great that they now have even. I mean, it was the Series 3 was the kind of go-to for the last year anyway for people that didn't want to get the Series 5, right?
Right.
But now there's even more incentive with the SE and now with the 6 and everything like that. So I think it's great that they've opened it up for more people. I think it's great that we have this family share option if you want to have, if someone wants to get a watch but not necessarily the phone, which is kind of like it's kind of like a gateway drug, getting someone hooked onto the Apple ecosystem. And the other thing about the family share thing is, let's say I got my kid an iPad. He could get his information from the watch with the family share, as long as there's at least one phone connected with that family share.
Right.
So I think that's really powerful, because in the past you had to have a phone, right? So
yeah, I think it's good. I would rather they just I would rather they just say you don't have to have an iPhone, but that's not going to happen.
Think about this. What if my wife, so she loves her Samsung S10e from last year. Okay. Yep. Loves it. Great. What if she wanted all the health benefits and this and that, the health tracking, this and that of an Apple Watch, but doesn't want an iPhone, right? And now she can iMessage with me, and this and that, and she can, put the stuff on the family iPad. So there's it's a good way.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I haven't actually carried an iPhone for 5 or 6 months as my main phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just wearing the Apple Watch. Like, it still does the stuff. It's just not connecting to the phone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wearing it as a watch that does those things and not like getting all the benefits of it going out into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. And I think it's good for older people, for the hell, so I can't get up, kind of thing. And,
fall detection,
although I really want to see an octogenarian try and do like the force touch thing to get to the apps and like all the different buttons and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that would be funny, but no, I think it's a good thing. I think that being able to keep track of your kids is a big deal. People don't appreciate. I spend a lot of time. I'm a true crime person. I love the true crime. I write novels. I've written mystery. New mystery started. Blah blah blah. All this other stuff. I like get deep down into this stuff and pay attention to it. The things that happen just out of the, well, sure, that happened somewhere kind of thought process.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like, nothing like this ever happened in small little, Buttsburg.
Yeah.
But they were the same again after blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. Let's move on to the next. So they talk about two things in general at today's event. Apple Watches and now new iPad Airs, which has me still kind of confused because I have a Pro, and now I'm like, what?
All right, let me
Don't
break
forget
this
the
down.
Series 8.
Yeah.
Or the iPad 8.
8th generation, yeah. You got the 8th generation iPad, and then you got the iPad Air.
Yeah,
So the iPad Air is the more souped up version. It starts at $599. So the interesting thing about the iPad Air is that it is the first Apple device this year that comes with the brand new 814 Bionic chip. Oh, whatever the hell the Apple's going to call it. So usually the iPhones are the first Apple device in a year that comes with the new A series chip. But this year it's the iPad Air. And a lot of iPad Pro owners are feeling some type of way because we just had these new iPad Pros released earlier this year, and they had the A12Z chip and not an A14. But it's not all about chip and numbers and things like that. There are some fundamental differences between the iPad Pros that were released earlier this year and the iPad Air that was announced today. Number one, the iPad Air has 2 speakers on it. The iPad Pros that were released earlier this year have 4. Secondly, the iPad Air has Touch ID on the power button. It does not have Face ID. Obviously, you know the iPad Pro from earlier this year, they have Face ID. The iPad Pros also have a LiDAR detector, which is not on the iPad Air. So you got all that, and you got to take all that into consideration. Also, the USB-C port on the iPad Air can only transfer data at 5 gigabits per second. The iPad Pro can transfer data at 10 gigabits per second. So again, it might look like the Air has some advantages because it has the newer chip, but not so much. Not to mention the last thing is that A14 chip is a 6-core GPU chip. The iPad Pro is an 8-core GPU chip. So there you go.
Did you mention the ProMotion?
Oh, I almost forgot that. And of course, the iPad Pro has ProMotion.
Okay.
The Air does not. So
I would dare to say that the speakers on my iPad Pro 2018, which is back here somewhere, I would actually say that they actually sound better than my MacBook Pro sometimes. They're really good on that.
They are really good.
They are really good.
The iPad Pro is a great device. The fact that people are getting upset because, I mean, let's be clear. An iPad Pro from 2017 is still going to get you everything that you could ever possibly want out of an iPad.
Yep.
Okay. So you're not really losing anything. I mean, freaking dog. I get so frustrated. So anyway, anybody comes home at my house, the dog goes crazy. She goes crazy. It's like it's a person you know. Shut the frick up. So anyway,
get PETA in here.
The ProMotion thing. We'll talk more about 120 hertz later, perhaps.
Oh no! Didn't you piss off enough people on the weekend?
Man, I tell you what, I use an iPad Air or an iPad Pro 12.9 inch from late 2018 every day. There has never been a day, ever, where I have said, "Oh man, it's so satisfying because it's so smooth." No, it's bullshit.
But that's your experience.
Well,
right?
I think that a lot of people just like, it's the placebo effect. Everybody thinks, oh my God, it's so great because it's a thing that we didn't have before. It doesn't make any effing difference. No difference whatsoever to your actual experience on the phone. You watch a YouTube video, it's still going to be in like, whatever frames per second, 30 or 60 frames per second. You're not getting no 120 hertz refresh rate on your YouTube video. You're not getting any, and really the 120 hertz is a lot of what makes it worthwhile is the touch point, right? So where like the speed at which it picks up your finger, et cetera, et cetera. That's where the ProMotion matters.
Okay.
Because it's more responsive because of how it picks up your finger with more diddly watsits or whatever.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable experience. I love using my iPad.
But I don't know. It's like the iPad Air looks like a pretty cool upgrade to the iPad Air, right?
Yeah.
And so anybody who's getting all up in their feelings about the fact that it's got a newer chip than the iPad that they spent a stupid amount of money on 6 months ago just needs to like go start needlepoint or something.
So there's a channel from that our friend John Rettinger also runs called the Apple Connection, TAC, and they had a really great breakdown today between the difference between the Air and the existing Pro, or even the 2018 Pro. So if you're really kind of concerned, if you're like kind of confused like I am, I'm going to go back and watch it again. I would encourage you to go watch that video. But I mean, I bought mine. Mine's 2018. So
Okay,
2 years.
to correct you real quick, it's called the Apple Circle.
Yeah, that's what, isn't that what I said? The Apple Circle?
You
Yeah,
said
he said the Apple Connection. Maybe you were thinking of the Rainbow Connection, that great
Oh,
song.
okay.
Frog used to
Last
sing.
week? Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. The Apple Circle. Sorry, John.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a new member, Retethered Tech, join the ranks of the Painfully Honest Tech Wizard Squad.
You're that guy.
Yes,
Welcome.
science.
Thank you very much for being here.
Oh yeah,
Being-
iPad Air starts at $599. Again, we just talked about all the things that's different from the iPad Pro, but I mean the iPad Pro, if you want a more beefy iPad, the iPad Pro is still the superior device in a lot of ways. But the iPad Air is pretty nice pickup at $599 if you want that.
The regular iPad is
Yes.
$329, which is
And, or you can get
Well-
that Jason Lewis Educator account for $299.
I'm going to get that. Give us
anymore.
that one. Yeah.
I don't have it anymore. I'm no longer an educator. I mean, I educate on the streets of YouTube,
These YouTube streets.
but I no longer have like a university ID that I can get my 10% off or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I want to say though, while the iPad Pro, great device, unbelievable power, et cetera, iPad Air now with color.
Ooh.
Those colors are ugly.
Oh,
the blue is the blue is dope. Come on.
The blue looks like the silver.
Now. That blue is legit. What are you talking about?
The blue looks like the silver. Or as anybody in my comments would say, you're just going to put a case on it.
Hey, I don't care. That blue is lovely.
So
I disagree.
I don't know. They're very light. They're very light. I'm not a big fan of light colors, but it's a great device. It's going to do you great. The only iPad that anybody but a professional who uses an iPad for professional applications should get, the only iPad 90% of anybody should get is the iPad cheap.
Oh, the 329.
Yeah, that's the only one.
That's probably what I'm getting. That's probably what I'm getting my kids for Christmas. Yeah.
By Christmas, it'll be $249.
Probably. I hope so.
Because it was last year.
Yeah.
And I had one. I got one for my wife. I gave the other one to my daughter when I got my iPad Pro. Yeah. My experience using the iPad, going from that to the iPad Pro, improved in some ways. Like, it's a bigger screen. It's a little bit nicer looking screen. It's stereo speakers and all that kind of stuff. It's it's a better device. But the majority of my experience using an iPad did not change when I went from the $250 to the $1,100 iPad.
Me and TechRant talked about this. Software-wise, there is no difference between an iPad and an iPad Pro. There's literally none. So, like Jason said, your experience literally won't change.
See, and it used to be that people like to go at Apple because it's really expensive to be a part of the Apple ecosystem. And once you buy one thing, then you got to buy more. But you could make the argument now that you could get into the Apple ecosystem and buy the cheap iPad, buy the cheap Apple Watch, buy the iPhone SE. Like Apple TV is not expensive. You could do it for less than $1,000.
Yep.
And
we talked about this. We talked about this last year, Q3, Q4, about how you could get into the Apple ecosystem with the Series 3 and I can't remember the iPhone 11 and then whatever MacBook it was at the time.
Yeah. Duran Evans says 2017 12.9 inch iPad is the bomb for reading comic books. Okay, I have to say that yes, this is true. If you want to read comic books on any kind of mobile device that's not a comic book, iPad Pro 12.9 is the only way to go.
Okay, Jason.
It's far and wide. Yes.
All right, Jason. It's time to get to the part of the event that kind of had me a little heated. So if you don't mind, Jason, share my screen real quick here.
Okay.
I thought we were
Apple won.
No, okay.
Apple won. Now they were doing so good with this, Jason. When they were talking about all the different apps that will be included, they said Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, iCloud, and then they said Apple Arcade. I'm like, oh my God, no! Nobody uses Apple Arcade. You know, I'm gonna do the same experiment now that I did in my live stream earlier. For those of y'all, for all the 177 of you watching this live stream right now, type a 1 in the chat if you actually use Apple Arcade. Don't worry, y'all wait. It's not gonna be too many of you, but type a 1 if you actually use it. Nobody uses Apple Arcade. Why do we have to be subjected to this monkey crap? Oh my God.
I agree with you. I agree with you but here's the thing. Okay, we'll take Apple Arcade off the table because I don't give a crap about it either. Okay.
Okay.
So Apple Arcade off the table, $14.95 a month for 50 gigs of iCloud storage, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Music is half price. It's half price for what I would pay. Well, no, I don't even pay for Apple TV Plus yet, right? So $14.95 a month is a good deal for those services. Yeah, when I was making my video, I couldn't remember the other service that was bundled in with this stuff. I forgot all about Apple Arcade.
Yep,
exactly. There's a reason why you forgot about it. It's terrible.
But the family deal up to 5 people, that's a big deal. That's a big deal because you get 2 terabytes of iCloud. You get Apple TV Plus, you get Apple Music for 5 people. Apple Music for 5 people, each one of them buying their own like account is $50.
Yeah.
And that's just Apple Music. Yes, you can get it for cheaper, you know, if you do. I like, because my question when they brought out all these services, my question was, okay, they've got all of these a la carte services. They're all $10 a month or whatever. So who in the world is going to buy $50 a month worth of stuff from Apple? Right? Now it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes sense because the family plan and the individual plan are very, very cool at 20, no more than $20 a month. When you add in Apple TV or Apple News Plus and the fitness stuff at $29.95 a month, the workout thing looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I might even be like, you know, more inclined to exercise if I had that kind of integration and blah, blah, blah. Right. So it looks really cool. $30 a month isn't a bad price, but still it's getting up into that place where like you start to think about your other bills. Right.
Yeah, like what other services will I cut? And I don't know about you guys, but when I get to the end of every month, I'm always like, do I keep on paying for this, or do I keep my membership?
Listen, Apple, you really could have hit a home run with this had you made this customizable.
I was about to say, yes.
Let us set our own bundles. That would have been game changing. But this Apple Arcade crap, no, it's terrible.
But
they could have made it where, okay, you have to have arcade and you have to have TV, but then you could pick the other two. Okay, fine. Right? For example, right? I agree with you, Viper. Like, it gives some sort of customization there because the fitness stuff in the Premiere there, I would have loved to have that for individual.
See, they want to be able to say they have X number of Apple Arcade users.
Oh, God.
Okay, and this is how they're going to be able to say it.
Yeah.
They're going to sell this. They're going to sell this whole package, and Apple Arcade is part of it, and they'll be able to sell. We have 8 gigazillion people who use Apple Arcade. It's the most popular gaming platform in the world.
Whatever.
It's like they're saying there's X amount of people that have Apple TV because it's pre-installed on TCL televisions. Like, I hate that. Like, it's
no.
Yeah, so that's what they're going to do. I guarantee you, at an Apple.
I'm pretty sure they're going to do it. But let's be real here. Just today, Xbox launched Project X Cloud with Xbox Game Pass, which means on all your Android phones, you can play your Xbox game anywhere. Nobody is playing Apple Arcade over that. Stop playing.
Retethered Tech wins the podcast for tonight. Apple Arcade is saving lives.
Apple Arcade is ruining lives. I like it.
Apple Arcade is totally fine. You're like picking on the little kid.
Leave
him alone. Leave that kid alone.
Let's back up a second.
There in the corner, nobody's talking to him. He's eating his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Leave Apple Arcade
No.
alone.
Apple Arcade is like that girl or guy at the prom who ain't getting no play, who standing in the back of the gymnasium with their hand folded, hoping somebody will come ask them to dance, but it ain't happening. Nobody
Hold on.
Apple Arcade.
Well, if you guys have looked at some of the main games that they always show for Apple Arcade, the commercials, this and that, I don't think the same people that are hardcore Xbox, hardcore PlayStation are the same people they're trying to go for with Apple Arcade. It might be just a casual.
Casual mobile.
Casual AF, all right. You better believe that. Jeez.
Yeah. But Alan brings up a good point. If they wanted to expand if they wanted to like really get a player base and they had a streaming service, that you could stream straight from your iPad, iPhone, whatever, play the games, and that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And I think that would be a good place for them to be, because streaming is the thing. I tell you what, I've seen news stories that say stuff like COVID might not really be gone until the end of 2024.
Yeah. What? Wow.
Yeah. I read that and it makes sense. It makes sense because anyway, we're not going to get into that, but
we're not getting into that.
Streaming is the thing. And Apple doesn't have any streaming service. They got Face ID or FaceTime, and that's great, and people use it, and it's awesome. But it doesn't have. They don't have any window into other stuff, and none of the streaming services really work all that well on the Mac. I mean, OBS on a Mac is like clawing your eyes out with your toenails.
Well, that's more the functionality other than the service, but. I actually just made a video about how I didn't really think Apple was in the wrong for blocking Project xCloud. But recently, Apple just changed their App Store rules to be more game streaming friendly or streaming friendly. So we could see in the future Apple start to adopt some streaming services or at least streaming apps into the App Store. So they're definitely changing how they do business as it relates to streaming.
Let's touch on two more points in regards to today's Apple thing, and then move on to LG and the upcoming Samsung another Unpacked event on the 23rd. Two things.
I'll just say preemptively that the Samsung Unpacked event that is coming up is even more of a bullshit event than the Apple event that we watched today.
It's to directly compete with Google and the Pixel. That's what that is.
Yeah, I've got thoughts. We'll get to that in a second. But
so the two other things I want to talk about. I know we talked about the Power Brick thing, right?
So in James Land asks, do we think that it's not going to be in the box?
It's not going.
It's not going to be in the box.
It's not. It's coming. They made it very clear today. They're not doing it.
Yeah,
because they care about the planet.
I can't wait to watch. I can't wait. Like I'm on TikTok, but I'm mostly there just to scroll stuff. I don't put stuff up. But I can't wait to see all the TikToks of kids and people unpacking their new iPhone.
Oh, you too? Yes. I cannot wait for the TikTok. Oh god, that could be great.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
Where's my brick? Where the hell's my brick? Where's the brick?
Going back to the new iPad Air, it has a feature on there that we've never seen on an iPhone before. Jason pointed out this out in his video: fingerprint sensor on the power.
Yeah,
which I think Jason made this point of, could we see that in the future on an iPhone to get rid of the notch?
Because we've had this conversation before. Apple's always been like, you get a password and you get like one sort of biotech thing to get you into your device, right? And I never thought that we'd see Face or Touch ID again. We got it on the iPhone SE, but it was already there, so I don't count that, right? I never thought we'd see Touch ID again, but now moving it over to the power button, like that's one of the things that I like the most about the Samsung Galaxy S10e is that it had that, and it's a much more natural place to it's always awkward to press a button on the iPad. That's
look at the iPhone SE this year, the 2020. Touch ID, right? Lots of people have been vocal about, I want that rather than the 11 kind of thing, and because I want that Touch ID. My sister picked up one. My folks picked up a couple.
Yeah, but I still look at that as like those people who live in the past. But I
So
think
it's the guy that can't tell the difference between 60 hertz and 120. But anyway,
I can tell the difference. It just doesn't matter.
okay.
It is not that big a deal. I can certainly tell the difference. I'm on a monitor that does 144 hertz right here. With G-Sync, I've got 144 hertz on my laptop. I got, so yeah, I know what the difference is. But other than like real critical applications like gaming on a larger screen, the refresh rate of your 6-inch screen doesn't matter. But okay, that's our rounded out topic.
Okay.
I wanted to say Apple Fitness plus the healthcare stuff that they're doing with the watch. I think that's the way forward. And I think that this device is going to become integral to healthcare, at least in the United States, or in like quote unquote first world countries or whatever. Some people are afraid of that because then it means like, the thing that you wear on your wrist knows everything about you and is connected to your health records and is all this other stuff. And so people are scared about that. But it also will have a lot of benefits. When it comes to the iPads, the iPad Air is a great looking new device. I like that they went with the new design language, the squared off design language. I like that they did that.
Looks nice.
And then the whole eco-friendly thing is, again, it's like you can't really say anything bad about it because it's like then you're an a-hole and you don't care about the planet, right? But at the same time, you recognize that they're going to be making a lot more money hand over fist selling chargers. Because what happened when they took the headphone jack out? What was their number one selling accessory at Best Buy for 2 years running?
Yeah.
No, the
dongle.
The
dongle was the number one Apple accessory at Best Buy for like 2 straight years. It might even still be. I don't know.
I mean, guys like Anker and Aoki are just salivating now. They're just, they're going to be selling tons of chargers.
Yeah. Well, they got a whole ecosystem to deal with. Yeah. They Apple has to freshen it up every once in a while so people can, these companies that make money off of Apple having stuff. It's like a whole like economy. It's a world economy. The side button for the new iPhone will be for Touch ID, since it's the same shape the Touch ID for the iPad Air. Adam makes this prediction. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I would love to think that they would pull a fast one and be like, you know what, Face ID is great, but we haven't been able to make any headway on the notch. So this year, iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Plus, no Face ID, Touch ID.
And with those more, it's not curved, it's more squared off. That gives you more room for that fingerprint, right?
Yeah.
For that sensor.
Yeah. So that would be a game changer. Like cool. if they decided to cut, I'm sure that's cheaper to use, right?
Let's transit.
Cut costs and take it off, get rid of the notch.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, man. That would be compelling to a lot of people.
We're trying to keep this to an hour and a half max. So let's transition to our last two big topics.
Yes.
The LG Wing.
Yes.
LG Wing. So Jason, I don't know if you have Twitter on your phone there. But we can bring up mine. Do you want me here? I'll share mine because
bring it up.
I have the animation here. By the way, LG shared my tweet, which I thought was kind of cool. That surprised me. Let's go ahead and share that.
Okay. There's the thing.
I don't know if I can I expand this any larger? Nope. Okay.
No, so you can only, it's a GIF.
People. It's a GIF, whatever.
The person who invented the thing called it a GIF.
Okay.
Mic drop. End of discussion.
Okay.
That's the end.
Okay, GIF. Anyway,
GIF.
This is cool.
Yeah.
All right. This is cool, especially when they started showing the different applications. Turn it this way, turn it that way. Being able to hold it first of all, this is what I like. This is my kind of hot take ish on this. Okay, I like that it's a familiar form factor. So the slab we've had for the last however many years, right? But then it adds extra functionality.
Yeah,
that is my that is my big thing. And then when I started seeing all the different functionality, you can watch a video up here, tweet down here, and or turn it this way, do maps and this, like
so much easier to do like camera stuff too.
Yeah.
And if you want to do landscape photography, which everybody should do instead of portrait,
yeah, taking pictures
because it's harder to hold the landscape.
Yeah, because as soon as you turn it, then you can. Do you know what I mean? Like this is cool, right? And I am. Yeah, and the specs overall, I mean, are really are where they should be for a flagship. So a 60.
Well, I mean, it's got the 765 instead of the 865, and somebody asked me about that on Twitter yesterday, and I was like, "Look, I've got the Velvet and I've got the LG and the V60, and the Velvet has the 765 and the V60 has the 865, and I'll tell you, like, the majority of the time, I can't really tell the difference between a 765 and an 865.
Yeah, and I think if you did a benchmark, obviously you could. I don't know if you could in a real world, but excuse me, putting that aside, 4,000 milliamp battery. I've said it for the longest time. The magic number for an Android battery seems to always be 4,000 or more. 128 or 256, 8 gigabytes of RAM. You got 32 megapixel selfie, then you got a 64, 12, and 13. I mean, there's other specs in there as well. In fact, there's wireless charging. I cannot remember if there's a headphone jack or not.
Nope.
It comes with a 25. I think it's a 25-watt USB-C charger. So it, real fast charging. But I'm really kind of tickled with how they kept something familiar and then just added extra functionality to it. And have you seen the videos of like people using it? It's smooth.
Yeah. No,
it clicks in place.
I'll tell you what it is. It is did Motorola make the Sidekick? Who made the Sidekick? The one that flip out screen, like where you flip out and you got the keyboard underneath the screen or something like that. The Sidekick from way back when they were dumb phones. This is something similar to that. This, to me, makes a hell of a lot more sense than a folding phone, because the folding phone introduces more issues than it solves. Right?
Yeah.
The folding phone is too fat. The folding phone is too fragile. The folding phone there are lots of things about the folding phone that are not overcome to the point where it's like, well, I can do with those things if I get the folding phone. Anyway. So
my biggest things with this is that even after you flip it out, you can still use this with one hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to downplay the fold or anything like that. That's not what this is.
I am. Yeah.
But I love the fact that it's familiar, but there's added functionality with that. Yeah, I mean, is she a thick girl? Yeah, but you know what? She's got a hell of a personality. Okay.
So here's I'm going to make a bold prediction. Bold prediction. The LG Wing, when and I guess if it actually sees the light of day, will be $1,000 phone.
Ooh.
And if it's $1,000, like, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like morphing form factor phone? I don't know. Somebody like Max Weinbach is going to be like, that's not a folding phone or something, but it's not a folding phone. It moves in some way and changes its shape. It's a transformer. Okay.
There you go.
If it's $1,000, then LG wins. And I don't care if Marquez Brownlee or anybody else sticks their nose up at this phone. If this is $1,000 phone, then LG wins.
What?
Period.
Huh? What? Really?
Because nobody's been able to do any of these transformer phones for anything like a price that a reasonable, sane person would ever pay. Right? I mean, we've all accepted that the Galaxy Z Fold 2 is a $2,000 phone. We've accepted it. But it's kind of like we accept Apple tax. It's like, well, I mean, I don't have any other choice. If I want the thing, I have to pay what they ask.
Mhm.
But I don't think anybody would disagree that $2,000 for a smartphone is a stupid price to pay.
Oh, it is.
Well, I mean, I don't want to. I'm not making excuses or anything like that. But I mean, it's second generation. It's new. I mean, iPhones and PDAs and whatever were all ridiculous at the time in terms. And it's obviously you account for inflation, and everything like that. So I think you need to look at it from another angle like that. But
You think that LG went that they priced the phone at $1,000
or less? Michael makes a good point that it's got the same internals basically as the Velvet, and the Velvet is a $700 phone. So,
I can see LG coming in very like is this for everybody? Probably not. If you're a creative and you're out there, like this is really tempting because of that angle.
I just think that this is okay. People always got mad at me because I bitched and moaned about the fact that there was nothing really special about a folding phone other than it's a phone that folds, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something different. This is something unique. This takes the form factor of a smartphone and moves it somewhere, right? And will it be super successful or anything? Thank you, Shane, for the $2.99 super chat and the danger made the sidekick. Much appreciated. But I think if they can make this a $900, $1,000 transformable phone, then they're the ones who are going to get the majority. Well, maybe not the majority, but they're the ones who are going to finally get the average person to look at it and say, well, that's not much more than, the LG Velvet or the.
I applaud for LG for doing something different. Now if you want to backtrack, I saw a lot of people tweeting about this, and I had to go back and watch the movie. If you go back and watch the first Iron Man movie, when Tony Stark's in the car there when it gets blown off the road and everything like that, he's on a phone. It's an LG, just like this is an LG, and it did the same thing. It swiveled up,
right?
And so it's kind of funny how they kind of come full circle. But I mean,
that was Iron Man 3.
No, that was the first Iron Man.
Okay.
That was the first one that where he was using that. But anyway, I think it's cool that it just in the last couple of years, like starting with last year with the first Fold, and now we got the second generation. We got everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and then LG's are kind of because nobody else has done that, right?
Okay.
The second generation. So
but if the headphone jack is gone.
Yeah, Jason is gone.
I will be really upset. I'm just going to say that right now. I will accept it because you can't do what they're doing with that phone and keep a headphone jack.
Okay. So,
but yeah,
I like the Wing. I think it's a great device. I think that it's not trying to be different for the sake of just being different. I believe that the Wing actually have practical application, which is kind of cool in a new form factor like this. But if you're telling me that they can price that phone at $1,000 and compete, I don't think so. Because once you price the phone at $1,000, you are then playing in Apple and Samsung territory, and LG they can't play up there.
I think it'll be $899.
It got to be less than $1,000. They can't play up in Samsung and Apple territory. They can't do that.
Yeah,
neither can Samsung or Apple, really. I mean, Samsung is having an event for this S20 FE because
so now
they just learned fucking economics. Nobody wanted to buy the S20 at $1,000 plus.
FE stands for fan edition, not economics. Okay. So
no, I mean, I mean, whether or not Samsung's trying to position themselves to take some of Google's press or whatever, Samsung didn't sell any S20s, and so now they're
to be clear, what Jason's talking about, September 23rd, so in 8 days, so next week, Samsung's putting on another Unpacked. And basically, the teasers have said, you've asked, and we're going to deliver a lot. There's been a lot of articles on already what it is. So apparently, it is a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, which is fan edition. There's a lot of I can't remember what this. Apparently, there's going to be an array of colors, 4 or 5 different colors. I'm suspecting plastic build. You know, and you know, basically kind of like the bare bone specs and everything like that. Kind of like think about the Pixel 4a where they focused on, you know, 3 or 4 key areas. And this event is I suspect is in direct response to Google's event, which is coming up on the 30th.
How can that be when we didn't even know there was a Google event until like yesterday? I didn't know anyway.
Well, I mean,
people. I mean, they know. People know.
Samsung. I mean, I'd be surprised if Samsung was worried about Google. Honestly, because
I don't think it's a matter of a worry, but it's a matter of okay. So here's our
released a phone.
Their budget. You know,
they just released a phone.
Yeah.
I mean, what this is the only other time they've released a fan edition of the phone of any phone was the Note 7. And that's because it was like a year later and they're like, man, we fucked this up so bad. We're just going to get it out there. And so this is the S10 Lite. This is the S10 Lite. And if the Note 20 has a plastic back, this thing better have a plastic back.
I'm going to bring up the article so we can look at the actual details.
Oh,
I think that they realized that they had to have a model of their flagship phone in the sub $1,000 space.
I want you to go ahead and share this because this has got all the details. So Samsung likely analyst is likely at Galaxy S20 FE launch event. All the info here. So it's at 10 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday, September 23rd. Okay, so going through here, so it is a 6.5 AMOLED. This is rumors, and usually Android Authority is on top of this. 6.5-inch Super AMOLED, 24 by 1080 with 120 hertz refresh. Well, we'll talk. Hold on, before there could be both 4G and 5G models. Snapdragon 865. Sorry, the 5G was using Snapdragon 865. Let's go through if there's any other. Okay, so 4,500 milliamp battery. That's
6 gigs of RAM.
6 gigs of RAM. 128 onboard storage. Finally, could offer a wide variety of different colors. Yeah, I've read about the different colors. There's like 4 or 5 different colors.
There ain't no fan edition phone coming with a 120 hertz panel, dude.
Yeah, here's the thing. 120 hertz is a nice to have, not a need to have. A nice to have, not a need to have. And if this is the cheap phone, then I don't see them going 120.
Not even the participation trophy Note 20 has 120 hertz. What are we talking about here?
I know. I agree with you.
Android is usually on top of what they're. The chances are they already have it. They're testing right now, and they've been told what they can reveal and everything like that. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I've seen the same information from Android Authority, Android Central, et cetera, et cetera. So, for them to say 120 hertz, I don't discount it. And like I said, this is a direct answer or call to what Google is going to reveal with the Pixel 5, which is supposed to be either a 90 or 120 hertz refresh screen. So this is their answer for that.
Yeah, I don't think I wish I didn't even have to talk about the Pixel. I wish that I didn't have to talk about the Pixel. And I think that this FE S20 is just a desperation attempt to sell some phones in a year when they haven't sold any phones because they priced everything stupid and then the world fell apart.
Well, look at their marketing. It literally says you asked, we answered.
Are you that gullible? Are you really that gullible to believe that anybody asked for that? I mean, they asked for a cheaper phone.
No, I'm just saying that they probably looked at there's a very big possibility. They looked at their numbers from when the original S20 was being sold. You know, we all know that Samsung does this all the time. They flood the market.
Why on earth, people? I think y'all talk about in the chat how I can have 120 hertz. Why on earth would a fan edition phone that is supposed to be less than the phones already out there have a feature that even the entry level Note 20 does not have? That makes no sense, people. It makes no sense at all.
And if it does, guess what? Who cares?
Oh, I can tell you who cares. All those people that spent $1,000 for the Note 20, they come going down.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going down.
You know, if you look, Chemist Den, I raved about it on the Razer Phone 2 because it was the only phone that had it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2 years ahead of all these phones. Okay? That's why I was very impressed with that spec on that phone. But I don't use the Razer phone anymore. I don't feel like I have to have 120 hertz. So it's one of those things. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. And it made sense on the Razer phone because Razer is about gaming, and their phone, whether it was, the right move or not, was focused toward the gaming market. Okay. So like grandma playing Candy Crush doesn't need 120 hertz.
Okay, so let me show you this because it was quote unquote leaked. So Verizon leaked it by accident apparently. So there's a variety of colors: red, kind of a purple blue-ish thing, this pink thing.
Looks plastic.
It doesn't, but again, this is the information coming from the Verizon website. 120 hertz screen.
Bro, if a fan edition has a 120 hertz panel, there are going to be fighting.
Now, I don't disagree with you, Zach, that these places, these outlets could all have sources, but they can all also read the other websites.
Yeah,
and take the information,
bro.
Android got their information from the accidental being put up by Verizon. That's
I don't think you all understand how seriously the tech community takes their 120 hertz displays. I had people coming from my neck on Twitter just because I was trying to explain why the iPhone 12 would not have it. So if you put it on a fan edition phone when people have paid more money for a phone that doesn't have it, they're going to be fighting in the streets, man. It's going to be crazy.
And see, that's what makes me mad. Okay, so let's pivot away from this, worthless, sort of weak ass cash grab of the phone. And
I want to point out that not all of us on the podcast sign off with what Jason says.
It is the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast.
Yeah, I'm not here to be a yes man, but go on, Jason.
But here's the 120 hertz. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Let go.
It's like nerds in 1985 arguing about Dungeons and Dragons. You guys. Oh my freaking God. 120 hertz. I mean, you're only talking about it because they put it there. If they didn't put it there, you wouldn't care. If they decided to make the battery bigger so that the phone lasted longer, you would be talking about that. And 120 hertz is just a nice to have. It is not a need to have.
Not at all.
And it is definitely not worth arguing over or being mad about or, all that kind of stuff. Because I tell you what, I've used the Note 20 and I've used the Note 20 Ultra. I use them side by side. I picked one up. I put the other one down. I couldn't tell the difference. It's a great looking screen.
And what you all fail to realize or just glossed over is that not every app supports it.
No, that's true. That's true. And not everything. Like I said, you're not watching YouTube videos or anything like that in 120 hertz.
Nope.
You're not. So it's a nice to have. It's not a need to have, and it's not even. It's only kind of nice, really.
I'm going to explain how I explained it before. As it relates to the iPhones not having it, I told you guys, or I tried to explain to you all on Twitter, that the feature itself is not fully mature yet. Every device on the market today that has the 120 hertz panel has compromised somewhere. It usually comes in the form of decreased battery life. Right. Apple is not going to release a feature on an iPhone that can compromise the user experience. And a lot of y'all got mad at me when you know I'm right, but you got mad anyway. So until 120 hertz can be put on a phone without compromising battery life, it's probably not going to be on an iPhone. But Samsung and Android people, they don't care because they're about choice and they want to give you guys that flexibility. But Apple is not going to do anything that could potentially compromise that iPhone user's experience. It is what it is.
I think, again, this all comes down to personal choice. For myself personally, as it stands right now today, 120 hertz is not a factor for me when I'm picking a device. But if I'm buying the S20 or sorry, the Note 20 Ultra, and I can't use quad at 120, that makes me question, why am I paying this? Okay, so that's where that comes from. So that's when I might look at something else. For the majority, I hate we keep on using this word, average consumer. Everybody, for the majority of people that are purchasing phones, the people that Apple pays attention to for the market, for example, they're concerned about battery life, their apps, camera.
Yep.
I should really go out and do a man on the street thing this weekend and ask people if they know what 120 hertz refresh rate on a phone is.
No. Even better, you should have two devices side by side, 160, 120, and then you should ask them to see if they can see a difference. Yeah, video.
Barber has a Note 20 Ultra. I should go steal it from him and just be like, "Hey, Allie, I need to bore this for about an hour."
Right.
So here's the thing. Yeah. I would be surprised if the majority of people, like out of 10 or out of 50 or 100 or whatever, I don't think the majority of people out of 100 could tell you which screen was 1080p and which screen was 1440.
Nope.
I don't think that the majority of people out of that same group could even tell you what the hell 120 hertz was. And if any of them could, they wouldn't know why they would need to have it on a phone. And
the proof is in iPhone XR and this year's SE sales.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, people, I was one of them, just went to town on Apple for the sub 720p iPhone XR screen. But I had to eat my words because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that screen. It's a great looking screen. And they've made it, the iPhone 11 screen is better. Still not any fancier in terms of pixels or anything like that. So,
and let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with wanting that. It's just that you need to look at the market and which devices are catering to what groups.
Can you please repeat that, what you just said?
There's nothing wrong with wanting that, but you need to look at the market.
At the market.
Yeah. And so Apple's market it's not us. It's not the people in the chat. It's probably not even the people listening, as an example. And as Viper just said earlier, just like 2 minutes ago, if it's going to compromise the battery, probably not going to put it in.
Nope.
Yeah. Apple just...
Who knows what happens this year? Now, Samsung did put it in, but they probably went, oh no, going to kill the battery. Got to use FHD. So...
Yeah, I mean, basically... Full HD 120 is 6 of one half dozen of the other.
Pretty much
1440. It both make very little difference at all. And the thing is, the thing that I am amazed at, that we are arguing and tearing our hair out about 120 hertz this screen, 120 hertz that screen, not have it, whatever, blah blah blah, and nobody is complaining that they're being charged hundreds of extra dollars for a 5G modem that 90% of everybody can't use.
There you go.
Everybody just sees 5G and they're like, 5G's got to be a good thing.
Yeah.
I got to have the 5G. How many people are going to go into, or have already gone into, their carrier store this year and bought a Samsung phone and saw that it had 5G and they're like, hey, how do I get that 5G? What's that 5G? How do I get it?
Yeah.
And they see on the website that it's an extra $10 a month. So they're like, I got to get that 5G because I'm paying for it. So I need to pay for it more.
Isn't there for the majority of people. Yeah.
And then the poor person who works at the Verizon store has to explain to them that they won't have 5G service for probably 2 more years at least.
Probably.
Because they're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Sorry, I keep cursing, but
we need super chats. My parents recently called me up. They said, we read some newspaper articles and saw some things online that we have to get 5G phones this year. I'm like, who told you that?
I've heard that
will not lose your access and everything. I said no. So it's being marketed to people that think they have to get it, and then maybe it's up to us here, us tech nerds, to educate the people.
I've heard, and now I don't have any confirmation about this, but I've heard that there have been some cases where people people who work in carrier stores have been telling people that they have to get a 5G phone.
Yeah, that's to make a sale. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
yeah, but they may also be asking the question, how long do you usually keep your phone? If they ask, how long do you usually keep your phone? And they say, well, 2 or 3 years, or, until it dies.
Yeah.
Then they probably said, you might want to get the 5G because by the time you're done with this phone, it will be a feature.
But even then, you're still
yeah.
going to have the 4G spectrum to run off of. Like, that's not turning off. It's not like CDMA that's turned off.
4G is not going anywhere anytime soon. So you don't need 5G.
And if you go into your phone right now, you can force your phone into 4 and even 3. How old is 3, right? Sure. So your phones are going to be fine.
And going back to what Zach was saying earlier about the market and recognizing the market, I know most of you tech nerds have no concept about how the market works. That's clear for me for like the last week. But Steve Jobs, I'm going to go back to the quote that I quote tweeted on Twitter from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs himself said, if the market tells us we're making wrong choices, we'll listen to the market. And for the past 2 years, the entry-level iPhones with 60 hertz displays on them have been the top-selling phones in the market. So the market does not care about a 120 hertz panel. So
and that's why I don't understand people. And that's why I don't understand some of the hardcore Apple users and tech people that we see on Twitter, this and that, are getting upset that, oh, Apple's not there behind because they're not using 120. Again, you're not. Unfortunately, this year, you're not the focus. It's not what people want, right? I mean, it's nobody is except for us is going into a Verizon or AT&T or whatever, going, hey, I need the latest 120 hertz.
Yeah,
really serious. Like, come on, man.
And the thing is, like, again, I don't 120 hertz as a feature. Okay, fine. Whatever. It is a nice to have.
Yeah.
Everybody who's acting like your phone is like a potato if it doesn't have 120 hertz in 2020 needs to slow down.
Yeah.
And just recognize that I bet if I lined up 24 phone nerds, just like John Morrison did with the Poco phone, and asked them to pick out the 1440p and 120 hertz and all this other stuff out of like a line of 5 phones.
Yeah.
The majority of all those tech nerds would fail that test.
They would
fail that test miserably. And see, maybe one of the reasons that I get really mad about this is because this is the same argument that went on in the music community about MP3s over CDs, vinyl, etc., etc. People are like, "Oh, you can really hear how bad
I read an article
MP3 is
earlier this week that for their first time in a year, vinyl outsold CDs. I have to find that article for you, but very interesting. But I also want to say this really quick. If you don't know how to properly recognize the market, that's okay. Here's an easy way to do it. Look at any Apple commercial, like on TV or online. Dun, 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 all day battery. Dun, 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 take great pictures. Dun, 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 waterproof. Dun, 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 iPhone. Yeah. That's what people want. That's their market. That's the market. That's how you figure it out. It's simple. Just look at the everyday marketing. And 120 hertz. What the fuck is that? Like, no, come on, man.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, for one thing, you don't know what you're thinking once you watch one of those Apple commercials, because I think they flash at you, and your eyes like go into like some kind of trance. Those things have become incredibly difficult to watch. I think they are trying to.
I got to explain this again because the tech nerds are still asking the same question. So we talked about the iPad Pro and how they have a 120 hertz promotion. You fail to realize that the iPad Pro is an LCD display. Y'all are talking about putting on 120 hertz panel on an OLED display, which is vastly different technology. For whatever reason, Apple hasn't mastered it yet. And again, every phone out there that has a 120 hertz display on an OLED panel has a compromise. Usually it's in battery life. So nobody has figured out how to maintain that good battery life adding a 120 hertz display on an OLED panel. And until they do, Apple's not going to put it on an iPhone.
Well, I mean, OnePlus did it, but you have to charge the damn thing every 4 hours.
Get compromised again. It's compromised, man.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
and again, so Lucas making this point here. Again, the Pro Motion display is it has a dynamic refresh rate, right? So it goes as fast or as slow as it's needed at the time, and it's really at the point of touch, so that it feels more like you're actually touching something and it's more responsive. That's where the benefit comes in the 120 hertz Pro Motion display of the iPad Pro. Okay, that is not the same thing as what the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra has. The Galaxy Note 20 Ultra has 120 hertz refresh rate available on its screen. And the thing about it is,
Whoa.
okay, so let's talk about TVs for a second. Everybody, had to have 720. Then they had to have 1080. Then they had to have 4K. And now Samsung's telling us that we have to have 8K. Here's the thing. If you subscribe to cable or DirecTV or any of those services, and you watch those services more than you watch like actual Blu-rays or something that's a high density information source, that signal is 720p at best. Okay? And you have placeboed yourself into thinking that you've got this amazing 4K TV that's giving you all this stuff. Now, it is upscaling and all that kind of stuff, and some upscaling is better than others, and the more you pay, the better the upscaling, et cetera, et cetera. But it's the fruit of the poisonous tree. You're being sold a bill of goods on something that is still nowhere near what they're leading you to believe it is. The signal for TV is not 4K. Okay. If DirecTV is 1080, then I take it back. It's just full HD, not 4K.
Actually, I should probably correct you, Jason. The Note 20 Ultra does have adaptive refresh rate, so it's not just 120 all the time.
Okay. Yeah. So even so, if DirecTV is native 1080, it's still not 4K. It's definitely not 8K.
Oh, it's not.
So I mean, you don't get to put a thicker piece of glass on something and make it look better because it just doesn't work that way. So all these people, they're asking for these features that will not actually give them the benefits that they think that they're getting. They will have detrimental effects to the uses of their device otherwise. And they're doing it all because they're being lied to in the first place. Right? So 120 hertz screen, fine, whatever. If your content is not made for 120 hertz, it doesn't matter. It's still 120 hertz.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's people's logic. It's like, well, okay, if the content's not made for 120 hertz, then it won't matter. It'll still look like 120 hertz.
I want to add on to Luca Belov's comment here. Keep saying that the market wants only reason they're not putting is because they are not ready, not because of the market. Okay, so it's probably it's not like there's one firm answer, Luke. I think it might be a bit of both. Apple's not ready to put 120 because one, compromise of battery, and because of the market. Now I don't want to say guarantee, but there's probably a very high chance that if there's no 120 hertz iPhone this year, it'll most likely come next year. When Apple can figure out, so we just with Apple, you just got to be a little more patient because let's look at wireless charging as an example. Android phones have had wireless charging since 2014, 2012, forever, right?
Yeah.
I had wireless charging in my Nexus 4. Yeah, I had it in my Nexus 4. I remember that because the back of that used to get real hot. Okay. Apple only introduced wireless charging, what, 2 years ago?
3.
Right? Okay, so 3 years ago. And why did they introduce it? Because they figured that their market was ready, that the technology was there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just saying that, Apple's never been first or to jump on. It seems like this year has been, along with foldables, the 120 hertz thing. You're not going to get Apple to jump on board right away, especially when you have everybody raving last year how great their iPhone battery is. I mean, where's my iPhone? This thing lasts darn near 3 days.
Yeah, I think the thing that put the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, et cetera, the thing that made those phones really good it was two things. It was battery, camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Camera's amazing.
Huge jumps forward for Apple in both places. And that's what made the 11 and 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, whatever, worth buying. So if you come out with an iPhone 12 that has 2 hours less battery life per day because it has this feature, people are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ace Rockola here, I love that name. Ace Rockola says Samsung is the only manufacturer of OLED screens that can do dynamic refresh rate. Okay. And word on the street is that they could not produce enough of them for Apple. Now, there may be some truth to that, but I also want to point out to everybody who has ever sat in front of a keyboard and typed or thought, well, Samsung makes Apple's screens, so I don't know why you say it's such a big deal. It's like, oh, so Samsung makes Apple screens and Apple can't do 120 hertz. What's wrong with Samsung? See, this stuff it's all a balancing act, and they're making different choices for different reasons at different times. But I think Ace, there's probably a lot of truth to the fact that Samsung could not manufacture the millions of OLED screens that Apple would need to put together their lineup this year.
Who was the wrestler that said that, Viper? The millions.
The Rock.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Samsung themselves produce a screen that can do 1440, 120, and they disable that feature on their phones. So if you're going to yell at Apple for not having a 120 hertz screen this year, then blame Samsung. Okay? Blame Samsung, because as every Android fan in the world loves to put in the comments, Samsung makes the Apple displays. So blame Samsung if the Apple display is not 120 hertz this year, and if you and then discussion over.
But
it's Samsung's fault.
They don't tune them though, right? They don't.
No. I mean, that's the thing. Apple.
It's different.
Apple works with them as a vendor. They deliver a product to Apple specifications. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about tuning, right?
Yeah.
So Samsung has the way that they tune and their own screens that they use for their phones. But then if I understand the technology correctly and the way that they're delivered to other clients, it's just, a different feature set or focus set that client has specified as what they want in their screen. Now, maybe the 120 hertz that Samsung produces can't work correctly in an iPhone. So blame Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 120 hertz screen that Samsung produces that would go in the iPhone is subpar to what Apple would normally put. I mean, because you can measure the colors and everything else. You can measure the colors and everything else, DP3, blah, 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 Adobe RGB, all that stuff. You can measure the color fidelity. And Apple's big about color fidelity with the Retina displays. So maybe Samsung can't make a screen that meets Apple's color fidelity benchmarks. So blame Samsung if Apple doesn't have a 120 hertz screen this year, because Samsung is the vendor that provides that screen. So blame Samsung. Blame Samsung.
Okay. Well, it's been an interesting evening. Is there anything else we should talk about, or can we end this on a high note somehow?
Sure.
Yes, because
Oh, okay. What?
I have been waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally I received official confirmation earlier this evening that my Galaxy Fold 2 is on the way. Yes.
I decided not to get one.
I don't blame you. It's a little rough.
Yeah.
No price.
And it wasn't necessarily like cost or anything like that. It's just like, honestly, I had to return this Note 20 Ultra by Friday, and I didn't want to stop using it.
I completely understand because I missed my Note 20 Ultra, so I know where you're coming from.
So I kept it.
I'm
very intrigued of you guys that have picked up the Fold. Not that I'm not gonna be laughing or anything like that, but I'm intrigued to see which one of you guys decide to keep it and decide to maybe make a decision to maybe go back to the Ultra or whatever, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Right. Yeah. So I honestly, Viper, I didn't think you'd get rid of your Ultra. I knew you liked it a lot.
I did not want to. It was so good. Ugh.
Yeah.
James Land has an interesting point here too. That just sort of tops off what we were talking about with the screens. Mini LED is the next OLED, right? Or at least like a competitor to OLED. We've seen the TVs. It looks really good.
Nice.
Samsung does not make mini LED.
Yeah.
Right. So, as in James Land says here, it might end up being the same situation as Apple leaving Intel, right? Mm-hmm. Apple leaves Intel because they decide to make their own chips, and maybe they leave Samsung because Samsung can't give them the mini LED. I mean, Samsung can't give them 120 hertz this year, so there must be something wrong with Samsung. Well, because, am I wrong? Samsung provides the screens for Apple's devices, right?
Yeah.
As I'm told so often in videos.
Now you know it doesn't work that way now.
But why should we not blame Samsung?
Man,
Samsung is the vendor that provides the screen, and it obviously can't get up to the standards.
Jason and Charlie are some fight today. I like it.
Man, you got an axe to grind with them, don't you? Ooh. No, I mean, I'm using a Samsung phone right now.
Okay.
I have an axe to grind with all the people who get up in their feelings and believe the bullshit that they're saying about all the stuff in their tech world. It's all just you wanting to feel better about yourself. That's just all it is. You bought something because it basically it's like a penile implant. Okay.
Jason has become the mean version of Dr. Drew. Go on.
So, oh Lord. So everybody who gets up in their feelings and gets all frustrated and says they got to have a 120 hertz screen, I mean, just go buy a bottle of Viagra in Mexico. Okay.
That stuff doesn't work. I mean, that's what I was told.
Or just go buy Android and be done with it since you want it so bad. If you want a 120 hertz display so bad, just go buy an Android, dude.
What bothers me too is all of those people who and it happened in the comments in the video that I put out on Sunday, right? Or Saturday. Video I put out on Saturday, which was just like 120 hertz. Who cares? Everybody's like, oh, you're just making excuses for Apple. Oh, why does everybody say it's got to be that? And that, like I said in the video, that it just doesn't matter. But the Samsung Knights that came to that video and left comments were like, oh, well, why does Apple get a pass? I didn't say anything specifically about Apple and 120 hertz. I said 120 hertz overall is an overblown feature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nice to have, not need to have. Okay. So and maybe I get frustrated because I feel like I end up in the middle of this place where Samsung people don't like me because I'm critical of Samsung. So anytime I say something nice about Apple, then they jump on me for that. And then the same thing works with Apple. I say critical things about Apple, and people say I'm a flip-flopper and that I always go back to the iPhone and all this other stuff. really what I'm trying to do is to be 100% totally honest with you about the way that I feel about the stuff that we're talking about. I don't care who makes it. I might have my own personal preferences. Right now, my personal preference is the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before that, my preference was the V60 from LG. And I've barely used an iPhone this year. Not that that matters, because it doesn't. Why? It's almost like two different groups of people screaming at the opposite sides of a brick wall.
Of course.
Nobody is actually listening to what they're saying. Nobody actually is hearing what they're saying. They're definitely not hearing what other people are saying.
Mhm.
It's one of these things. Yes, and moderation is right. Cell phones are, like cars have been in the past, and other things have been phallic totems. They're things that are put in the place of the ability to show off your large penis or lack thereof.
Wow.
In order to make yourself more virile
So
and more attractive to the opposite sex.
I think we should let the people know that this live stream has been brought to you by Demonetized.
Hey man, I even
Damn,
remember to
dude.
monetize the live stream before we started. But
Cucumber.
People need to start being honest with themselves about what they're doing. People need to be honest with themselves about why they're buying this stuff and what purpose it serves for them, and just go with it.
At the end of the day, buy what you like.
Yeah, and like it. And if you, why do you have to prove to other people that it's worth liking? Why do you have to argue with other people who have a different opinion than you? I mean, because they're challenging your sense of self. And if your sense of self is attached to a freaking phone,
You got a problem.
then you need to spend the money that you spent on that phone in therapy.
So you're not going to be doing any in-depth reviews of the new Xbox or PlayStation, are you? Because that's a nasty community. That's a nasty argument there.
Because my point, my point in doing these reviews, my point in Painfully Honest Tech, if I may talk about myself in the third person, the point of Painfully Honest Tech is to talk about the stuff in a realistic way that looks at the good and the bad of one device versus another, and another device, and also within their own silos. Are they better than the ones that came before, et cetera, et cetera?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what team it is. I don't care what team it is. I'm going to, and that's what I think gets people confused sometimes. It's just like, well, he says this and then he says that. It's like, yeah, I'm being critical of both companies, just like I'm not critical of both companies. I made the Samsung Note 20 Ultra review, and I've got nothing on that but negative comments, and it was a positive review.
Yeah. No, I was confused going through that too. I'm like, what? You literally didn't even watch the video, but
people got mad at me because I said I didn't want to like the phone.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like the phone because I think that it's inherently flawed because of the pricing structure. Okay. Yeah. I think that that's an inherent flaw in this and many other smartphones in 2020. The truth of the matter is, I really enjoy using this phone. It is probably the best Note that we've had since the Note 9, which, I mean, that's just one generation back. But, the best Notes that we've had are Note 4, Note 7, Note 9. So this is another in that sort of like skipping a year cycle where you really get it. Samsung really gets it right.
Yeah.
In that alternate year. So I just, at the end of the day, this is why, and people are, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, and I'm not upset, and people aren't hurting my feelings by saying mean things to me in the comments. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Everybody is affected by it when it first starts happening. Then after a while, it's just noise. But I like to monitor that noise and try and figure out like which way the wind is blowing. And so in monitoring the noise that I've been hearing in the comment section of my videos and everything else, people are like, oh, he didn't want to like it. He hates it, but he likes it. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Whoa.
It's like I make a positive review about a phone. And in doing so, I'm not, I guess I don't gush about the phone enough that is acceptable for the people who worship that phone. I guess is that what it is? And then I have people say, like, I make a rant video and people are like, man, it doesn't look like you really enjoy making your YouTube videos anymore. It's like, yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because people are freaking stupid. And I get tired of this argument. I get tired of this argument all the time. I get tired of this BS.
Okay. Let's bring it back to something positive, Jason. Tomorrow afternoon, Jason, it's going down. It is going down. I don't know if you're ready, but I'm ready, Jason. I am ready.
Oh, is tomorrow the PlayStation thing?
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna announce the price? They probably will.
They have to. They have no choice. The Xbox is going to pre-order in a week, so Sony has no choice.
Yeah. I mean, I fully expect the one with the disc to be $5.99.
No.
And
it'll be $4.99.
No.
It'll be
You
$4.99.
think?
Yeah.
Okay, $4.99.
So will the
and the one
digital
without a disc
version
will be like $100 or $150 cheaper.
It'll be $100 cheaper probably.
Well,
yeah.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Just time out. What is the Xbox Series S? $299?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think the PlayStation 5 digital will be the same or less or more?
It'll be more.
You think it'll be more?
Yeah.
Because the PlayStation digital version is the same machine as the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Just without a disc tray.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the Xbox Series S is a lesser powerful machine.
Yes.
Than the Xbox Series X.
It is a watered down version of the X.
Yeah, and that goes back to the comments from Sony about value. They are positioning for themselves to say, basically saying it's going to be more, but when you put them side by side, the difference is one with optical, one without. But it's not like the S and the X, where it's not just optical drive that's different. There's big things that are scaled down, right? So,
yeah.
Listen to the event is at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow afternoon.
4 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Are we allowed to stream it and comment?
Well, try.
No?
I mean, like I said, I got those copyright claims just for having the music that was in the Samsung presentation.
Well, Viper, if you do a stream after, I'm available.
It'll be worth talking about. And Yates Network asks, and this is a valid question, and one that I'm sure we'll have to deal with. We'll have to deal with quite a bit once these machines come out. Is why would you need a disc tray in 2020? Okay, no computer is made with one. Yeah, some people like to collect things, and there's still, I think, a collectible value to video games. Right?
There's that, and not everybody has the greatest connection as well. So, they get the brunt of the data on the disc, for example. Some people...
And then they have to dribble it down.
Yeah. And then some people also, maybe they don't have a Blu-ray player, right? Yeah. Blu-ray players are not made as much as anymore, right? Right. So there's definitely an advantage there.
I mean, I've got a pretty substantial collection of Blu-rays and ultra whatevers and all those kinds of things, and I would want, until I can figure out how to rip the ultra 4Ks in an effective way without having to jump over 1,000 different hoops in order to do it. I want to have a disk drive for that. So, because it is so much better watching like a 4K ultra Blu-ray on a Samsung or on an LG OLED TV.
I need to try that. I haven't tried it yet.
I mean, let me tell you what, people who want 120 hertz on your screen, and you don't know. You don't know what looking good is. Okay, until you buy this stupidly expensive but unbelievably amazing phone. until you do that, you can cry about your 120 hertz. You can cry about it all night, all day. But it's nowhere near as good as 4K Ultra Blu-ray coming into your LG OLED TV
with your Enclave.
with a good sound system. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Lucky bastard. Man.
That's the good stuff. I mean, to be honest, like all this smartphone stuff, I do these videos because people watch them, but this is kid stuff. This is kid stuff. You want to talk about like real tech? Let's start talking about audio video tech. For then we can talk about something real. And let's talk about $10,000 speakers, right? But this is the stuff that people watch, and not everybody has a set of $10,000 speakers. Okay. So there's not as much reason to review one, right? But everybody can finance a $1,000 phone through their phone company.
Did you see that they had financing for one of the bands?
Yeah.
John Frost put a video.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who finances a watch band? If you have to finance and watch, I understand that things are different right now, but holy like if you have to finance a watch band, damn.
Okay. Male sensitivity. Thank you for that name, by the way. Male sensitivity is helping me make my point here. He says you don't need $10,000 speakers. And all night tonight, I have said 120 hertz is a want, not a need feature, right? So you don't need 120 hertz. You just want it because FOMO. That's it. That's it.
I need somebody to take tech rent the internet away. I need to take it away. Take tech rent the internet away.
Damn.
Take tech rent the internet away, please.
Genosis, you and I have to talk Plex server because I need some help.
Okay.
Getting my quality.
We need to wrap things up because we're coming up on 2 hours.
I know. We said we weren't going to, but here we are.
I know. Let's wrap things up on a positive note. Let's go round circle, starting with Viper. What are your feelings about 100? No. What is something? Okay. Sorry.
That's good.
Okay. What can you point out a show or a movie that people should check out this week on any of the streaming services? Like what are you watching right now that's like, yeah.
What am I watching? I haven't really watched anything recently. I'm trying to get back into watching The Boy, but I didn't really care for season 1. So season 2 is not really. I watched the first episode, but not really much more impressed in season 2. But I don't really have a answer right now.
Okay. Well, I'll make this quick. I accidentally stumbled upon this movie the other night. It's from 2006. It's got Denzel Washington. Inside Man.
Ooh, I thought it. Yeah.
I saw that when it came out. I can't remember anything about it though.
Jodie Foster's in it. It's also got the guy that played. He's got the face. Yeah, it was good. It's a thriller. It's got Clive Owen. Inside Man. If you guys have a chance, watch that. It's Denzel's good. And it twists and it's really good.
Oh yeah. Actually, I just rented a movie called Parker with Jason Statham and Jennifer Lopez. I enjoyed it. Good movie.
Did you ever see Hustlers with her?
I did not know.
Damn, she's looking good.
Yeah. It's worth watching regardless of the content.
Yeah, actually, it is a good story, but
it is a good movie. But
you got to remember yourself that she's like 50 plus and like, damn.
I know. It's crazy talk. Why is she dating Alex Rodriguez? I don't understand. Anyway,
they have a funny TikTok though. They have a good TikTok.
So here's what I've been watching this week.
What?
Now, if you like true crime stuff on Netflix, Cold Case Files is actually, I think it left today or it's leaving today. So if you want to watch Cold Case Files, you got to watch it today.
Oh,
and then I've also been watching The Boys, which I like quite a bit. I think if you didn't like if you didn't grow up reading comics and like sort of in that like that whole comics zeitgeist, because The Boys plays a lot off of like what comics are usually like, and The Boys is like the opposite. Anyway, I've been enjoying it. I'm actually reading the comics now. I hadn't read the comics before. Actually reading the comics, but also Raised by Wolves on HBO Max.
You know what just showed up on Amazon yesterday? I watched the first half of the first season. Golden Girls. And it's funny, man. It's still funny.
I can't do it, man.
Dude, it's funny, man. I remember watching Golden Girls growing up, and I sat down with my son. We were watching. He was howling. My wife was howling. We were all howling.
Hey,
Golden Girls.
Jason, did you get a chance to watch some of that crowdless football last weekend?
I did.
Yo, NFL needs to talk to the people at the NHL and get their sounds figured out, the crowd noises, because the NHL was able to tune the ambience and the way the crowd sounds, so it actually reacted to the play on the ice and everything, and it sounded natural. What the NFL has going on, it was just like, no.
So here's the thing, like, why bother? Why bother? Because I don't care. I
do it for the. I think they do it for the player more than anything. I'm guessing.
I think it's for the I know the NHLPA, for example, they voted on it, and it was an overwhelming something like 77% of players said we want the noise. It would help because when we look up, all the seats are covered. It would it would help.
Yeah, it's I mean, I watched West Virginia play on Saturday. Let's go Mountaineers. They won against Eastern Kentucky, but still, it's a win. And it was a lot of fun. I watched Monday Night Football last night. My Steelers taking on the Giants and winning. I think that football and baseball. Well, I don't. Does anybody watch baseball anymore? Anybody at all?
Couple people.
Because I mean, especially like this year, no crowds, plus Houston Astros, blah blah blah, all that stuff. The NBA looks like the championship is being played in like church rec centers. You know, but NFL football, college football, the fall, we need something like this right now. We need something like this to pull people's attention away. You know, we've watched everything we could possibly watch on Netflix, you know, so some kind of appointment television is necessary, at least for me, because I feel like I'm just, you know, I've been totally floating for these past 6 months. So I love football. I love baseball and basketball as well. But football captures my attention a little bit more these days. And I'm
a fan of midget tossing.
Can we say that in?
Oh, we love little people toss. Nah, forget about
it. I don't think we can say that in 2020.
Can we?
We'll bleep that out.
Please cancel me, somebody.
Anyway, thank you. Yes, that's the cancellation notice. I need to watch Fargo. I've watched the first season of Fargo, but I didn't.
That's filmed here.
Yeah,
it's filmed here in Calgary and outskirts and everything. Yeah.
So anyway,
on that note,
I'm calmer now. I gave myself a headache tonight. I really did. I shouldn't get so up in arms about these things. I gave myself a headache.
Yeah, Jason, don't get up in your feelings about 120 hertz. Sorry.
Neck 1164 doesn't want to be. You're not going to church. What are you talking about? Sit here and take your medicine. Anyway, thanks so much for being here this evening, people. You know, if you don't want to listen, you don't have to watch. But once again, we've had another exciting episode of the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. The podcast so awesome it hurts. And we've had a boisterous discussion this evening. One that's been so boisterous that I gave myself a headache. I have a stress headache now. I need to go and like eat an ice cream cone or something.
Nice.
But we have all kinds of fun things happening all week. We've got this. Well, we've had the Apple thing. It seems like the world is coming back to us, but not really yet. 2024 is going to be a great year when we can finally leave our homes. Anyway, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Zach and Viper. If you don't follow us on the social medias, then you are remiss in your duty and should go and take care of that right now. There'll be links for you to find and do that.
Better landly, man.
Right here in the description of this podcast. You can do it. Anyway,
I miss Chris from last week.
Yeah, where's Chris? Although Mech came out and gave me a little bit of ammo here at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, thanks so much for being here. Till the next time, we're out.